Welcome to the Z-Hut's Mad Scientist Laboratory. I'm Professor Z, and today we're going to attempt to take over the world using Arduinos. Grab your favorite Arduino board and put on your tinfoil hat, because it's time to build. Today, we will be attempting to take over the world by removing the 110-volt light bulb from this seasonal decoration and replace it with an Arduino-controlled simulated candlelight LED. Well, let's get to the workbench and get started. The first thing we will need to do is to remove the light, and then if necessary make the hole bigger, because you're going to want to be able to get the Arduino board and the breadboard and everything through there. Plus it would be very handy and convenient if you could actually put your hand in. Now, I've got this decoration at a garage sale. It was in a free box. The light was already missing, but the hole, and you can see the piece towards the bottom of it that I cut out, the hole was too small. This was made to take a small light bulb, but it was a 110-volt light that had a cord on it. And I have some other items similar to this that had the bulbs in them, and I have removed them since then, and some of them I've replaced with the simulated candlelight like we are doing in this pumpkin, and others, like I have a statue, it's an alien, and then I have some Christmas type stuff. You don't need that to flash, you just want it to be constantly on. But the LEDs we are using uses way less electricity, costs less, and it's just better all the way around. Also, it produces a lot less heat. So to open the hole up, you can just use a knife. Plastic isn't usually too thick. Just be careful, you will have to score around it a few times. May even help to use a hair dryer to heat the plastic up a little. Just be careful not to heat it up too much or you will warp it, possibly melt it. I would recommend staying away from using a heat gun. Otherwise, a hand saw of some kind or a hole saw. And hole saws are pretty inexpensive. You can buy just one individual one, or you can get a cheap set of them at online or Harbor Freight stores, unclaimed freight stores, Northern Tools, stores like that will have fairly inexpensive ones. All right, well, once you have it so you're able to have the light removed and you can get your hand in there so we can work. What I did with mine is I kept that piece just in case for some reason I wanted to seal it up to put an original light fixture on it, which I probably never will, but still, I see no point in just throwing it away. So what I did is I just put it through the hole and it sits on the bottom of the inside of the plastic pumpkin. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the circuit we were putting together for this. All right, this is the circuit that we'll be using. I don't see a point of putting together a schematic diagram of it. As you can see, it is very straightforward. I will just go through it real quick, and then after that we will go over and take a look at the Arduino code, the sketch that runs this and makes it simulate candlelight. So the first thing we got here is we got our power source. I'm using a 9-volt wall wart to power this. So it's just this little plug. And actually I will probably, if you go back and look at the picture of the pumpkin, the jack-o'-lantern, at the bottom there's this little flat area I could drill a hole out and mount this through there and just make these wires a little longer. Otherwise, you can just run the power cord out the hole that you make for putting this in there. Either way will work. But the ground is just going to our common ground. and the positive coming in 9 volts goes to the VIN, voltage in. Now I do recommend a Nano or a Pro Mini for this. Nanos I like because you don't have to have the programmer connected or anything, you just plug right into USB. But you can use whatever you have. And you can even solder this together. You don't necessarily have to use a solderless breadboard, but this particular item is something I only use for about a week a year. So I just throw this circuit together at that time of the year, put it in there, and I set it out on the porch for Halloween for about a week. And then I take it apart and reuse the stuff for the rest of the year. But moving on, then we have our 5 volts, and that's after the VN comes in, it goes through the voltage regulator, but you have the 5 volt out, and I have that hooked up here to our common positive rail, and then I have the ground coming out, going to our ground rail. Now the LED, we are using a Piranha LED. These are the super bright LEDs. These are not the COB LEDs. I actually am looking, I have a flashlight that I might be replacing here. It's the power switch. You gotta tap it a few times once in a while. It doesn't want to come on. And it has one of the COB LEDs in there. But I am thinking that it's possibly a little too bright. I wanted this to actually simulate candlelight, but in a future episode we will be taking a look at them. But back to this. It's a Piranha LED. If you go to look in the description below, and you'll find a link to the project's webpage. You'll find on that webpage links to where to get these and what they are. You can get them on eBay, Amazon, all over. They still make them. For the particular LED I'm using, I used a 33 ohm resistor. If you're using one of these Piranha LEDs like I'm using, that 33, somewhere in that ballpark, it could be off a little bit either way, and you should be fine. Otherwise, just do your Ohm's law calculation and figure out what resistor you want in there. And what we're doing is we're using digital pin 3 because we're PWM controlling it, and that changes the brightness. And when we get over to the sketch, I'll show you how that we're changing it, making it flicker and act like a candle. But we're just connecting the positive side, comes out of D3. Digital pin 3 goes through the 33 ohm resistor. The negative side of the LED just goes to our ground, and that is it. This actually is a really good project for somebody. If this is the first time you've ever had an Arduino, first thing most people do is, the blink sketch. It just gets you going. This it's kind of similar to it in a way, but slightly more complicated. We're bringing in random numbers, but the random isn't that hard to understand. So this still is a pretty good, very absolute beginner's project, but this is also very nice to have because my Halloween decorations, the jack-o'-lanterns and stuff, I can make it simulate a candle. You can even use a regular pumpkin that you carved and put this in there and not have to put a candle in, especially if it's windy, it keeps blowing the candle out. You could just put this in there and have it flicker to simulate a candle, and you're good to go. So, all right, with that, let's get over to the Arduino IDE and we'll take a look at the sketch. All right, I have the Arduino IDE opened up here, and this is the whole sketch. As you can see, there's not a whole lot to it, and that's why, once again, I'm saying this is a great project for somebody that's just getting into Arduino. Otherwise, it does make a nice Halloween effect that you can use your Arduino to build and not have to use candles. So let's just get right into it here. The first thing we're doing is we're defining which pin we're using the LED is going to be on. Now this does have to be a PWM pin on my Nano pin. Digital pin 3 was a PWM pin. If you're using a different Arduino board, and you could use pretty much any Arduino board, I recommend a 5 volt board. You go to a 3 volt board, you're going to have to play around figuring out your resistor and stuff, but it will work as well. Just remember to use a PWM pin for the LED. Then we're doing two integers, and I got LVL, which stands for level, and that's basically the brightness of the LED. And then we're doing another integer, DEL, which is going to be the delay. And between the two of these, changing the brightness and the time between it, how long it changes the brightness, will make it have that flicker effect that's going to look like a candle. Next, in the void setup, we're just doing our pin mode. LED is an output. So, good to go there. Next, in the void loop, what we're doing, and we're using the random. We're generating a random number. So level for the LVL, the brightness, we're going to generate a random number, and I'm going between 50 and 255. 255 is the max, full on. And I did not want to go 0. At 0, there would be no light at all. So it really wouldn't be looking like a candle that was, you know, a little wind is blowing and making it flicker. So just all of a sudden there'd be no light at all. So I found about 50, and you can play with it a little bit. I wouldn't go much under the 50, but go ahead and play with it. You're not going to hurt anything. At 255 is full brightness. So then we're doing our delay, DEL, and once again we're doing a random number. We're generating a random number, and I'm generating a random number between, I found between 100 and 500 milliseconds. In 500 milliseconds, that's about that's a half a second. I found that these two numbers work pretty good between the 100 and 500. It looks pretty close to a candle flickering. You can go ahead and play with these numbers as well. You could change them to whatever you want. Just go ahead and have fun with this. That's part of what you want to do to help yourself learn, is just play with things. I don't see anything on here that's you're going to be able to do that will destroy your Arduino board, so you should be careful. Then what we're doing after we generate those two random numbers is we're analog writing. So we're on our PWM pin 3, and we're doing the brightness of the LED, and excuse me there for a second, I had something in my throat. Yes, we're analog writing the LED to our LVL, and that's our brightness, and then we're doing a delay, and that's our random delay time between the 100 or 500 or whatever you change it to, and then it cycles through and does it all again, and then cycles through, does it all again. That is what's given us that flicker that makes this resemble a candle. You know, there's a slight breeze, it's making it flicker. If you had a candle and there was absolutely no wind, you wouldn't really get a flicker. But this is, you know, for an outdoor decoration, or you could make a little candle-like thing that goes on your table. You can put this in there as well. There's lots of different things you can do. Anywhere that you would have a candle that's just for light and you're not using it for heat or something, for anything like that, you could go ahead and substitute this for it. So, all right, with that, I think this video has gone on long enough. Just remember, look in the description below. You'll find a link to the project's website. You can get the Arduino code there. Or you can just type it in. I mean, it's only going to take you a moment to type this in. You'll find a parts list. I'll have some links to those Piranha LEDs. Oh, and before I forget, if you don't have the Piranha LEDs and you have everything else, and you have some normal LEDs, you could probably use several of your normal LEDs and get close to bright enough that this would work. Give it a shot, see how it works, and then if you still want it to be brighter, go ahead and order. Them LEDs are cheap. But all right, with that, we'll wrap this up. And I'd like to say, I hope you have a great day. Remember to give us a thumbs up if you found this information useful. And very last, and this is the very most important, very, very, very important. Make sure you're wearing your tinfoil hat at all times. We do not want the government or the men in black to know what we're up to.